Hi, how's it going? We're live and we might hear some weird things behind us, right, Jimmy? I think right now something's sounding.
The neighbors just started drilling
Perfect timing,
to do a podcast, right?
right? I mean, I hope that because these microphones are a bit directional and take up things that is not so loud, but let us know if it's becoming increasingly annoying or something.
Yeah, I think the sound of the drill will go through everything.
It will drill our heads.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it's not so much. Hi, everyone that has joined us now live here. A little bit hectic day and week. That's why we've been like super silent in the Discord. I believe like last week we have not even show up or anything.
I forgot that I have Discord.
Right. Like
I completely forgot that it exists.
it's like, oh my God, this week has been very crazy. I'm actually now... It feels like relaxing to be here, but in my mindset it's like I need to make a presentation about making podcast, which is very fitting for today.
In the real world, though, right?
In the real world, yeah. I mean, what is the real world? Everything is the real world.
Yeah, I mean, not online. You have an actual presentation.
Yeah. I have to. I'm gonna give a lecture and a practical exercise for people that might be interested to start a podcast.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm, for the first time, not super hyped up on caffeine.
I can feel that.
Right? You're not gonna be seeing me sipping on anything in this episode.
Oh.
So, hey, CM.
Maybe you should go and make a run for it.
No. I want to try. I think I've been way too energetic in the past. I'm gonna try to be normal this time. See what happens.
I mean, normal is... what is normal, really?
That's a song by Steven Wilson. Actually, Porcupine Tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
We think similarly. No, today actually I work all day around drills and heavy machinery. Not any problem, Christy says. So
Yeah, I saw
he's kind of used to it.
I mean, it's not a problem. They were drilling also yesterday. They only did one hole yesterday. Today they're making all the rest because they've been drilling for like 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping that they would stop.
It's
like
like one drill a day.
Yeah.
One hole a day.
That would be convenient. I don't mind it. It's just it might be annoying for some people who are listening. So
I kind of like not register it anymore.
Yeah,
I guess
you don't remember it from yesterday.
from yesterday. No.
All right, it was one single hole. I think they didn't even make a full hole. They just marked it with a drill. It's like, tomorrow we drill here. Zip.
But other than that, it's been a busy week. It will continue to be a busy week this week. So that's why we are going to talk about a photographer today that didn't have a very long artistic life. So we don't have so many photos to go through. But nevertheless, I think it's going to be an interesting body of work to look through, actually.
Yeah, I sneaked at the photos before. For the first time in a while today, I checked out the photographer that we're going to talk about. And you walked in and I was like, I think this is my favorite photographer.
Of all time.
Truly. It's really, really like the work, the few photos that I've seen that I had open.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite photos.
Hi, Devan. Happy Tuesday. No, cool guy sunglasses.
Yeah,
Where are your
I don't know
sunglasses?
where
I think
they
they're
are.
behind you somewhere.
I'm totally uncaffeinated, so I
it's not caffeine and
I forgot to get ready for the podcast. I just sat here.
I just like, poop, here you are.
Yeah, I have to go to bed early today because I have to go to the airport tomorrow.
Yeah, it's gonna be a bit
and
busy.
Friday.
Yeah.
And Friday is even earlier than tomorrow. So.
Yes, and also we will probably
Rock
not
you.
be... Lock me out.
Rock you.
We will rock you.
Excuse the pun.
No,
Good that we remember that. Next Tuesday there is no show.
There's
Sorry
no
about
podcast
that.
next Tuesday.
Yeah.
I'm going to be away.
Mm-hmm.
And it will be like a lot of hassle to try to do it from 2 different countries. And I think we don't have time to prepare.
I never thought about that. We could if you want.
I mean, we could. I could be on Zoom and you could be here. And then
Here's the thing. Something might happen on the channel next Tuesday.
Maybe.
But most probably not because we're going to be in 2 different countries.
Yes.
I had some ideas for like a development stream or something like that since I'm going to be by myself here. But I wasn't sure if I'm going to be too busy for it because you know what.
Yeah, people travels and visits.
So, that's the important announcement.
Yeah.
That there might be no show next week.
Mm-hmm.
But what would I wanted to say something about something else. We got a question.
We did get a question, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think is an interesting question, actually.
Let me pull it up. Oops, I went to the wrong app. It was by Tropolog.
Tropolog, I like that name.
Yeah, and they were asking, I really like photographers which, I guess he's trying to say do not, but the do fell from the sentence. So I'm going to add it. I really like photographers who do not comment on their work. Does photography need to be explained? What do you think?
I think for my personal opinion and my vision on photography, I think it doesn't need to be explained.
I agree.
And it's kind of like ironic that I'm saying this, and we're here in a podcast where we look through photography, and sometimes we seek more information about those photos and those pieces that we really love. But I really think that photography does not need to be explained unless it's in the context of another kind of work, but not just photographic work. Like if it would be a documentary work where it has to be explained because otherwise there's no point to those photos, then that's one thing. But I think photography as an art form, it doesn't need to be explained. And I would say even that it increases its artistic value when it's not explained.
You think? In what way?
Because to me, art is also about how the viewer or the other person, the other side of the artist relates to the work. And I think it's a different kind of conversation when you are actually explaining what you are meaning with the work than if you let the viewer create their own world or their own thoughts about the photos that they're seeing. So, but that's my personal opinion. Obviously, it's not cut cold.
No, definitely. Here's what I'm thinking. I feel like it doesn't need to be explained. You know, it's like, because need is a different thing. You know, there's no need. A photo is a photo. It's you don't need to explain any work of art, really. You don't need to explain a song, for example. What's the point of explaining? You either like the song or you don't. If I explain it to you, it's not going to make you like it more. You might appreciate the story behind it, if there was a story. But I don't think it changes your experience of it that much. Or I don't think it would necessarily change your mind about it to a significant result.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It might change your mind about it. It might change your view on it. A photo, a song, a painting. You know, it's just adding more context to whatever it is. And I think it's cool that sometimes a photo has a story, or a song has a story, but it doesn't need to have a story. Excuse me. Doesn't need to have a story to be appreciated, you know, because you're going for a song, or you're going for a photo, or you're going for a painting. You're not going for a story. If you are going for a story, you know, then that's what it is.
That's a different thing, yeah.
Right? So yeah, I don't think it needs to be explained. Do I enjoy explaining? Of course, because I am a photo nerd. I am a music nerd as well. So I'm really happy when there's a story to be told, when there's more about something that I already like. Do you know what I mean? Like if there's a song that I already like, if there's an artist that I already like, if there's a photo that I already like, hearing that there's a story about it makes me excited and makes me want to know that story. And usually knowing that story kind of renews, or you know, renews my appreciation and love for
the
it.
passion for it. Yeah.
Sometimes it's not a good story or a good explanation, and that's when you realize that it doesn't matter. For some people it does. For some people who the story is more important than the art, then they will not like the photo or the song or the whatever, the play, the book, whatever it is. If they learn something about the story behind it, they will change their mind about it. And I'm not saying absolutely not for me, it's not going to change my mind about it, but there are some things that would make me probably dislike it or unsubscribe. You know what I mean? But I don't think it really matters.
What about you guys? What do you think about it? Do you think photography needs to be explained, or is it important to you to actually get that extra bit of information about a particular piece of art, or the intent that it was taken with, and what the ideas or the vision of the artist were, or you rather just enjoy and maybe make your own history behind it, which I think is kind of magical. It's a bit like a book, right? People read books instead of maybe watching movies because they like the part where they can imagine how this thing is. It's really in their heads, and I feel a little bit like that with some particular type of photography, where I can make the stories in my mind about either the subject or what was happening when that photo was taken, or what they might have been thinking when they were taking the photo.
Yeah.
It's a nice exercise.
Yeah. I was thinking about something, but I forgot what it is. Right before we started, we were listening to some music, right? Do you want to share your thoughts on
which one of them?
There was one track that you actually surprisingly, like, you were surprised that you liked.
Are you gonna make me shame myself in front of everybody? No, it was a song that I I didn't know about this artist.
I think it's just a funny story.
Yeah.
The whole thing, how it happened. So I talked about a few weeks ago that Apple updated their Apple Music service.
Yeah, to have Dolby Atmos and spatial audio.
They added features that make this.
By the way, I realized that Netflix shows sometimes they have this special audio, and it's really weird because it feels like you are on 3D space watching a video, and it just like my brain is confused because I'm seeing a 2D image, and then the sound, it's like you hear all these little like echoes of the footsteps, stuff like that. And I'm like, it feels like it's broken in my ears.
Yeah, it's basically surround sound.
Yeah.
On a stereo channel with 2 speakers, which is pretty cool. Anyways, I was trying to explain this to somebody, right? And that's what I assume, because I have 2 screenshots and I'm circling something on the screenshot, right? To say like, this is what you have to see to know if it's better or not. So one of the screenshots that I took, I randomly just looked for a song that has it to show whoever I was sending it to. I can't remember who I was sending it to, right? To show them this is what you're looking for. And I look at my phone. I'm deleting some photos that I don't need, like screenshots. And I see a screenshot of this album or the song by Lil Nas X,
which is a rapper, I guess. Or
yeah, he's the
like
guy
that.
who sings that song that everybody knows, Old Town Road. Not my cup of tea. I mean, seems to be cool. I like R&B and stuff as well. Like, it's not that I don't like, but country, I don't listen to country. Anyways, the album cover caught my attention. It was like, what is this? What
super strange.
Yeah, and it's like a photo of Lil Nas, I assume. And
cartoonized.
He looks cartoonized. Yeah, he's breaking through chains. And he has like this Ninja Turtles bandage on his eyes, but made of silver. It was freaky cover, and that got me like clicking
to the song.
And I was like, I scrolled down and there's a video. And the video was really interesting, super cool.
It was really cool, very nicely shot, and as you said, this is one of the first videos where there's a lot of guys dancing, which is not so typical. There's a lot of videos with girls dancing around a guy or a girl, but this is only guys in the whole.
You should explain that Lil Nas is gay.
Yeah, true. Maybe that makes more sense now.
Yeah, so he was in prison, and I guess because it's prison, there's only guys.
Yeah, but they dance really nicely.
They were dancing like girls would dance in R&B videos.
Yeah.
It was really funny. I kept laughing the whole time. I couldn't stop. Yeah.
It was cool.
It's not Jason Momoa who's... If you end up watching the video, because Eva got obsessed. Is that Jason Momoa dancing in the video?
No, but it's a Jason Momoa lookalike.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool.
I got on a trip there. I forgot what the point was again. I need caffeine. Unless you're enjoying this, I would do this uncaffeinated forever.
I think we were there because I don't know.
I just explained why we were there.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you doing today?
I am good.
We got some answers for the question.
Oh yeah, that's true. yeah, so CM is saying that some artists' work need to be explained a bit, so you have some clues about what they want to say, which is true. It's true that sometimes the work is so either abstract or maybe the point could be completely missed, and then yeah, so you need those clues. But then Christy is a bit like us. It's like no explanations. Period. I don't need anything. So
Yeah, I'm wondering like about. I would love to hear some examples, or from CM, like what he thinks is something that would need an explanation.
what kind of work specifically? Maybe yeah. Of course, like.
I mean, it's again, it's nice. Like a lot of times happens on the show before we're looking at some photos and we're zooming in to see is it like that photo. I forgot who it is. I think it was Christoph Morlinghaus, the guy who takes macro large format 8x10s.
Mm-hmm.
He there was a photo of like he takes photos of crowds and stadiums.
Yeah.
And there was one of like miniatures. Do you remember
that's
that
why
one?
we think, yeah, and I was
And
like,
we
it's
were
real
zo-
people. No, it's miniatures. No, I don't know. Yeah.
So stuff like that.
CM says like Cindy Sherman.
I'm not familiar.
I wasn't. I was gonna say that.
I'm looking her up. There's a bit of fuzz in the audio.
Is it? Not in my ears.
Maybe it's in mine. Let's
Modernam said. So it's modern work. It's a lot of women portraiture and a little bit histrionic, I would say. Some, yeah, I'm actually not familiar with this artist, I must say.
We're looking at some Cindy Sherman.
Mm-hmm.
Can I flip like this through these?
Yeah, I believe you can.
I mean, these, they remind...
Is it the 60s or so? 70s, actually.
Yeah, 77. I don't know if this is what you had in mind, CM. This one I really like, actually.
Yeah, that was very, very cool.
Maybe from a different body of work. Let's see. Can I exit this
I think
way?
you can go, to the whole collection there.
Let's see, exhibitions. Maybe this one.
Live public spaces.
Private lives, public spaces. This one seems cool.
Is it her or is it a collection? I don't know. It could be like a, like a group exhibition.
Could it? I still don't know how to use this website.
Yeah, so CM is saying, yes, she's playing with roles and personas. So it's more like curating of a fantasy world throughout the subjects and the models, I guess. That is not really candid, it's not really, moments of someone's lives, but she really wants to tell a story through those images. Maybe a little bit also like Gregory Crewdson, right? Like,
yeah, but isn't it the point of it being a photo is that it's open-ended?
Yeah,
like, I mean, to me, these photos do feel open-ended. Like even Gregory Crewdson work, it was nice even without an explanation. Like if you get a book, for example, and you flip through it, or if you go to a gallery, you get the story from looking at the work altogether, because the work is designed or
to
created
tell a story,
to be a concept, to be conceptual. The whole thing is telling a story together in a certain gallery. And I would assume that these photos all put together, like this one, if there's other photos, you can start to pick up the similarities, the vibe, the theme, the story that is being told through these
Perhaps,
photos.
since I haven't seen any exhibitions or work from her, I am not so sure, and I have not studied it either. So, but I mean, maybe I think CM probably is more familiar with the work, and perhaps it's not so evident what the work is about just by looking at the photos. I'm not sure.
Yeah, CM saying it's nice pictures, but without some clues, you miss the point. Yeah, I mean, I see how I agree that you can easily miss the point. You could easily have, like, two people can go to for example, Gregory Crewdson gallery, walk in, and on their way out, talk about what they thought the story is, and they would come out with different stories. But I think that's the thing, is that that doesn't mean that it necessarily needs
to be a powerful photograph or to be a beautiful piece of art.
It doesn't need an explanation.
Yeah.
I don't know. The explanation will come if you look for it. You can go and you can read if there's a card next to the photo or if there's a booklet. But what I'm saying is that the way people enjoy art, they don't always need an explanation. They could enjoy it. They could feel maybe they're happier creating their own story.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That I think it really much depends on the viewer and the person. And I mean, I think with more explanations, photography can also become a means of more communication rather than just,
the other day I was playing one of my favorite albums that I've heard for years. And even though it's very explicit, but the way I listen to music, I black out the lyrics and I just listen to the music. Even though I memorize the lyrics, I don't hear what they're saying.
Yeah.
The album I'm talking about is by Dream Theater, Scenes from a Memory. And it's very obvious, kind of what it is about. Some details that you might want to read about it to know what it is. But the lyrics are telling the stories, and they have the different characters in the songs and everything.
Is that the one I listened with you on the car the other day? Yeah.
And Eva was listening with me for maybe second time she comes across that album. What album? Scenes from Memory. I don't know if you asked that question before or after I mentioned CM. So Dream Theater, Scenes from a Memory.
Hi, Chronic.
And so I was, I've listened to the album for years, more than 10 years. I love it. It's one of my favorite albums. I memorized the whole thing, all the solos, all the drums, beat by beat, including the lyrics. And I somehow missed the story. And it is my favorite album. It's one of my favorites. And it still is. And then Eva was sitting in the car. She was basically, a hostage in the car because I wouldn't leave the car until I finished the rest of the album. So she was stuck with me in the parking lot because I refused to exit the car. And she started looking at her phone to see what the story is about. And that's when I learned what the story was about.
Yeah. And it's a very deep story, and it's a conceptual album. So the whole album tells one story told from different parties and having even different and of course it's easy to miss if you don't really pay a lot of attention to it and try to understand how different songs relate to each other and how, because everything is kind of sung on the first person but from the perspective of different first persons, which is confusing when you're listening to the same person singing all the time. So you have to put a lot of things together. So I was reading about it, and because I'm a little bit of a nerd about everything, so it was a very pleasant. And I enjoyed the music in a different way by knowing what is it about and what they were intending with it and what does it mean, and it was cool. And
for me, it made sense as soon as you started explaining the story. I was like, I already know all these details. I just didn't put them together. Yeah,
right. It's like pieces of a puzzle, and it's I know this puzzle. This piece is red. This piece is blue. This piece is purple, and it's now they feel all together.
Yeah, I was okay, so this is the song when that happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I already know what they're gonna say in the song. Yeah.
It's really cool.
Chronic, you win. It's 2 photographers today because CM just told us about Cindy Sherman, so another female photographer.
Yes, with a very different kind of work than the other one we're going to look about.
Yeah, since we're here, you want to jump in?
Yeah, we can start talking about Tina Modotti. This episode was supposed to be short just because, time constraints and I didn't have time to prepare so extensively. And the story is not so deep, I would say, or so wide. And we're going to talk about photographer Tina Modotti. And I decided to talk about her not just because I think the photos are beautiful.
Definitely my new favorite.
She didn't do extensive body of work because she started to take photos professionally quite late in time, and then she tragically died quite young, 40-something. But I also wanted to talk to her because her story and her name in history has been a little bit shadow, and it's not very well known on her own right and on her own beautiful work that she did. A lot of people know Tina because she is known to be an actress and primarily model and muse of Edward Weston, which is a very, very, very well-known photographer.
Did we talk about Edward?
No, we still haven't talked about Edward.
We mentioned him before.
We mentioned him a lot of times because he is He's a key photographer from the times where the pictorialists changed into more straight photographers and all this time. And we have also mentioned that he sold one of the most expensive prints ever of a pepper. Pepper number
33 or
30 or something like that. So he was very well known, and he took a lot of photos of Tina, and I think I put in the links a couple of photos of Tina by him. One of which I really, really like, which is this one. I really love how he plays with the shapes, relative sizes, and shadows, and putting her in that particular place with the hand fan, and then this is just great. But that's her, photographed by Edward Weston.
I think this photo is also like kind of, from what I've seen, it looks like her style of photos.
Yeah, I think that pretty much it's her, even though she is in the photo and it wasn't taken by her. So, and then I put another portrait, which is the portrait that I have in the thumbnail as well, just so we can see her face.
I think it will come up. Maybe.
Yeah, so she was actually not born with the name Tina Modotti, and I'm gonna say her name because it's very funny to me. Her name was Assunta Adelaide Luigia Modotti Mondini. Italian, with 3 names and 2 surnames, just to very Latin based, very Mediterranean as well. And looking through her photos, probably you would see some similarities to Edward and also to Imogen Cunningham. I think a little bit. It's thought to have learned most of her photography skills from Edward. She was working as a darkroom assistant in exchange for photography lessons for him, but they were also lovers and they have known each other for some time before. That's how she became his muse. But she is known to also perhaps have started with photography earlier in her teenage years because her uncle back in Italy had a photography studio as well. So I think she was already kind of interested in the arts. And then they moved a little bit around. Her family moved to San Francisco, and then she came with them. In 1913, she was born in the late 1800s. In 1913, they moved to San Francisco, and then in the mid-1910s or 1915 or something, she met a guy who would become her husband. And he was a painter and a poet, which has also influenced that she started to hang out with a lot of artists and a lot of people with artistic influences, and she started to develop her own, taste and her own artistic self as well by being with him. They moved to LA, and she became friends with many photographers as well. And in LA is when she actually met Edward Weston, and she started modeling for him in the 1920s, the roaring 20s. Many of the photos where you see her is like the typical kind of 20s woman, although we are not so used to see so many, like such a Latin. She looks very Latin Italian as well, obviously, in the 1920s fashion. She really liked Weston and liked his work and liked photography, so she decided to stop acting. She was acting when she was living in LA, so she did also some movies and stuff like that and modeled a lot. And she moved to Mexico with Weston to start a new life. So Weston was married, and then he left his relationship and the kids and moved to Mexico. And Mexico in the 20s was a very effervescent artistic scene, because in the 1910s, I think they had a lot of political turmoil, and then 10 years after that, like a decade, all those inclinations, and there was room for these artistic people to grow. The most known of them, of course, Frida Kahlo. Frida Kahlo was later married with Diego Rivera, which was also a painter and a muralist. So she was in between all these people. She actually became really good friends with Frida Kahlo. And apparently she also had a fling with Diego Rivera. We don't know. There's a lot of so much ifs and buts over there.
Life story.
So all these people intertwined together. And this modernization I need to learn how to speak. This modernization of Mexico also brought new waves of artistic inclinations, and she really skipped this pictorialist Imogen, she did some pictorialist work, then she moved into straight photography. She just like went into it. She learned from Edward Weston and other people, and in her photos here that we were looking through, you can see that it's very much taking advantage of everything that photography can give you when it comes to, not just taking the photo, but how you print it, how you try to get all these tonalities within the prints as well and within the work. And I really love that there is a lot of abstraction in her work, even when she's she was also very politically inclined. She was involved later in her life with communists and a lot of people that were very active, and some of them even died because of it. And I think her photos, even within the abstract feeling that they have, they also are politically cry outs for representation of what was happening in Mexico. So she became, in the 1990s, nobody really knew about her photography until quite late after her work was done. She is now thought to be one of the most important photographers representing these modernists that changed life in Mexico, and also representation of also the more rural areas and the farmers and all these people that were working in the country. This photo is really cool. It even feels like it's not a photo.
Yeah,
right?
A lot of her photos remind me of, what's his name? The guy who draws stairs that are intertwined.
Yeah, Escher, one of my favorite artists, yes.
The one that I paused on for a while earlier. It really reminds me of Escher. Where is it? There it is, this one.
Yeah, also that one as well.
She's really, she does really well with diagonals.
Right? So she used to, at the beginning of her career, she worked mostly with big 4x5 view camera. So something quite cumbersome to go around and move it. And then I think, but for what I could read later, she got a Graflex. So she could actually walk around much more and have these more spontaneous photos of people around. She traveled to some of the more rural areas of Mexico as well later on in her life. And I think she did that with the Graflex, but it's all large format photography, most of it. This is really cool. I really love this one.
Yeah.
This one is from 1927. Yeah.
You want to get caught up with the chat?
Yeah. Let me see. What's going on in the chat?
Devin is mentioning that on his Instagram he has a list.
Oh, okay.
Of female photographer that are 407 women so far.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes.
Yeah, and then Chronic went to check Devon, and she really likes his photos.
Yeah,
which are really cool.
You haven't been watching.
Yeah, we
looked at his profile.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, it is really. He has really cool photos.
Yeah, CM was to your rescue, saying Escher.
As always.
This is one that I think is hard for me to forget because it's I would say kind of like a pillar of my childhood. Like I used to have a lot of prints by Escher in my room when I was a kid. Not because of me, of course, it was my parents that decided to put those things, but I remember to have this. He has a lot of these paintings or like drawings. If you don't know who Escher is, you should go and check it out, because he has these ones where different shapes change into other shapes. And I used to have those, and I used to have also, like, there is this infinite sign, which is like ants that then transform into something, and it's so cool. I really love it. Those ones are they change into being flying from a chess as well. This is the infinite
there's
cascade.
Did I tell you that there's an iPhone game is basically based on this one?
No, I didn't know.
Yeah, I think it's a Swedish game, actually.
Interesting.
I can't remember the name. Can anybody? It's something Valley.
Can someone help me out?
Yeah.
The Uncanny Valley? No.
No. Something Valley. The princess has a very Swedish name.
The princess?
Yeah, because it's a princess something. You play with a character and she runs around. Basically, you have to solve puzzles that are all Escher, basically.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool game. I finished the whole thing. I was so happy when they made an update as well.
Those ones, like that one, for example, that there is fishes that turn into they're down on the left side. Fishes that turn into birds.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I used to have many of those ones, actually.
This one is so cool.
They're just like, and as a kid, it's just so cool to see something like this. I mean, at least for me.
This one too. What is happening? They're going.
Yeah, they're different directions, and he plays a lot with how things like morph into each other as well. If you put Escher ants, this one I used to also have it, which is so cool. How they go from being a drawing to being and then going back.
You have this one in the book.
Yeah, the book has many of these. That one,
This one?
Yes, I used to have that in my room.
I've seen this one before.
It's really cool.
Is that the drill?
I don't know.
They're drilling lightly. Wow, wow. Like
Monument Valley, Chronic
Monument
Fisher.
Valley.
Yeah, Chronic.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, and Devan also. Sorry, I didn't see it.
Oh, I don't know if they. Yeah. So Monument Valley is the name of the game that
Of the
I was
game, yeah.
mentioning.
Mm-hmm.
The Escher one. Yeah, the one.
There
that
is also a painting of a hand drawing itself.
Yeah, there
There,
it is.
I think.
Two
Which
hands
is
drawing each other.
Yeah, and he was a master of perspective as well. There is a drawing of himself being reflected on a glass bowl, like it's a self-portrait of him, which is just glass bowl. Yeah, which is just it's so cool. Like you have to have such a mathematical brain to actually draw these kind of things.
Yeah.
With the right perspective and making it so real. This is so cool. I really love this artist so much. But yeah, so her photos, they do remind us of Escher, but in real
trippy. I
life.
forgot that we were doing a show. I just keep looking at it.
The one saying the repeating animals and whatnot are tessellation species and always trip my eyes up. Yeah, it's really cool. I like the one of the baby. I like how it's actually cropped, like so much like you're in them.
Yeah, that's what she does. She likes to fill the frame.
Yeah, so these ones are from the time that she went to the Mexico pre-Hispanic part of Tehuantepec, where she focused only on photographing indigenous women. And I think that's a little bit of probably the influence of being friends with Frida Kahlo. She was also very interested in the indigenous populations in Mexico as well.
Speaking of the influence of Frida, she also took a lot of photos of the murals.
Yeah, she took she was commissioned. With time, she became more and more popular, and it was the time where, Diego Rivera and others were painting these very important murals all around Mexico. So she was commissioned to photograph these pieces of art and where they were actually positioned and in the buildings as we are seeing here right now, which is a very important part of Mexico history as well. So that's why I'm surprised that there wasn't not much talk about her before the 90s. I think her photographs were a little bit lost in between places, and then they show up somewhere, and someone like took attention to them and started to make an archive as well of these photos. That one is very freaky. It's actually a sculpture, I believe.
Yeah.
The one of the tree, I really like it. Yeah, it's a sculpture of. Is it Christ?
Yeah, head of Christ.
Yeah. Iconography is really important in Mexican culture as well.
Never seen bald Jesus before.
Well, yeah, he has a beard though.
Yeah. This one is so cool.
This was very
again diagonals. Nice. She gets me with the diagonals. It's just like I've said it before. It's my favorite thing in
to
composition.
Play with, yeah.
Is diagonals, and she's really, really.
To be
good.
honest, I really also enjoy the tonality of the photos. These are probably tone up, like when you're making prints, you can use these toners. I think they're called, where they give some sort of color to the prints, and I really enjoy that. It's not just pure black and white photography. Also, there is this tonality to it. Brown. This one is beautiful. This one I really like. That one I would have a print. Just for the solely purpose of looking at it and having it around.
I don't know if we looked at this one before, but this one, it came in 2 flavors. I saw it.
That photo of the mural there in the middle, I also really enjoy it.
It's beautiful.
Because, these murals were huge pieces of art. As a photographer, either you can take photos of everything.
Because when I saw the mural, I thought that this thing would be also a painting. But it's not. This is an actual photo.
Yeah.
And you can see how she carries out that same style
of composition.
Of composing.
This is part of a series including the Workers' Parade, which is the other photo similar to this one, where there's a lot of hats. And it was taken on May Day, which is a day where they used to do march. And it has rows of peasants with straw hats. And for her, it was a symbolic representation of the rural Mexico and the agrarian reform that was happening in the country as well.
This is the
That's
other photo.
one of the ones, yeah. And it's one of her most famous pieces, actually.
Yeah. I mean, this one is one of my favorite photos of all time. I can't
That was
believe how
also
much I
with
like it.
a newspaper, which is important for situating it in a time and place in history as well.
Can you read what it's saying on the headlines?
El Machete. So actually, I read somewhere that it was one of the communist publications. It says toda la tierra, no pedazo de tierra. So that means all the earth, not just a piece of the earth. So I guess it's an article about the agriculture and how to, management of agriculture, or what does it belong to the people, because these are actually people working in farms as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the publication was shut down after, there were more and more the communist people were getting suppressed and stuff like that. So that's what I read. I didn't make notes of that because I thought people don't want to know political details of this. This one is really cool as well.
It is so cool.
Which is with the industrialization as well.
Yeah, but somehow it feels like, to me,
religious even.
No. To me, it feels like almost like it's a flower in a vase. Like this is the flower, and these are leaves or blooms.
But you see, like here is where the culture kind of like maybe plays a role, because to me, like this, it looks like it could be a representation of like an
graveyard.
No, like an Easter parade. Like in Easter, in Spain, Easter,
like a bunch of crosses in the air.
Yeah, and they have like this big either Jesus Christ or the Virgin in these like these images, and then people are carrying them in their shoulders, and they work for like 5-6 hours in the street. So
I
for
was
me,
in the Boy Scout. I used to play the snare on these.
Yeah.
I was in the Boy Scout of the church.
In Easter, it becomes crazy in Spain, and we have these parades that happen, and it's where people also take time to.
Do you have one on the Sad Friday?
We have every day from.
I don't know what it's called.
From Sunday.
I don't know what it's called. You know which Friday I'm referring to.
Is Easter Sunday? Easter Friday?
I don't know if it's Orthodox like celebrate.
Yeah, they have it
ways.
Different. Yeah.
But it's the same Friday that is before Jesus goes to heaven, like on a Sunday or something like that.
Yeah. So Resurrection Sunday is the last Sunday,
so
and then you have
2 days before.
Yeah, that's Friday Easter, I think.
It's like a mourning Friday or
something like this.
Like that. So we like the church that I used to go to as a kid, and I was in the marching band for the
parades,
the scout. They wouldn't go home until it rains.
And it has to rain?
It usually rains every year on that Friday.
You know that in Spain, this is funny because in Spain for Easter, we have this running joke that it always rains in Easter. Some of the days, so some of these parades cannot go out, and people cry, and people are very sad because they cannot get their favorite saint or whoever is out. And it's also the time where people, how you say, like when they committed sins and they have to pay back to God for the sins they committed, or maybe they pray so much so someone gets saved or whatever, and it happens, so then they cannot pay back because their prayers were actually listened to. So they like hit themselves in the back, or they walk these 5 hours without shoes or in their knees or things like this. So that's when it happens. So they get like very upset if it rains and it can happen. So no, it's
the opposite.
It's
there we don't go home until it rains.
It's a very emotional and important part of life for a lot of people in Spain. Actually, this part of the culture, and it always freaks me out so much because there are so many parades, and they look like the Ku Klux Klan. I mean, it is how it looks.
They have the themes.
They have the themes, and there's like it's just you'll see. I'll take you there someday, so
it's
you can.
Right. I've seen enough.
It's a very unique thing and very curious thing, and it has a lot of meaning and symbolism in Spanish culture as well. There's a photographer that a Spanish photographer, she is part of Magnum, and she has done extensive work on representing this symbolism from the Spanish culture. So I have it there as a name to maybe do it someday, because my mom also asked me about it. It's like, you have to do an episode about this woman's work. So it's there, so we will look at her work at some point. So now you have an introduction about what kind of things.
Do you remember the name?
I have it here.
You got people curious. I bet they want to know.
You want to see the work? Okay. So her name is Cristina García Rodero.
All right. Yeah, it's Good Friday, Devin. That's it.
Good Friday.
Yeah,
Yay.
that's the one. They wouldn't let us go home until it rains. Like, I don't know. It rains every year on Good Friday.
Devan is teaching me English. So it's called repent, when the religious self-flagellation of atonement for sins. Repent. That's nice. I didn't know that word.
You didn't?
No, not in English.
Okay. What is it in Spanish?
Now you got me. I think it's it's
fine.
I don't remember, but
That's what it is. It is fine, babe. Yeah, but I mean, like Tina going back to her work. I don't know if anybody else is as big of a fan as I am right now. I know you like the photos. What do you guys think in the comments?
I am sure that they are also liking them. At least I know more or less what they like, and I think that one is so cool. I don't know if you...
I'm opening a bunch of them while you were Googling, while you were learning what is repent in Spanish.
I don't know. Arrepentirse is to be sorry for something.
Yeah, that's it.
But it's not the same. I want the hard word when you're like...
but that's what it is.
These ones, yeah. So let me see in Spanish. Wikipedia to the rescue.
I'm so sad that she doesn't have more photos.
Yeah, so it's estimated that she took about only 400 photos on her life. Which 400, I mean, at least 400 pieces of work that probably she took many more, but you know, that ended up somewhere.
Modern photographers take more than that in a shoot.
I take that in 1 hour, which is crazy. Anyway, it's not that I really, I'm happy about that. She also really liked to make contact prints. So there is a lot of contact prints of her negatives as well. That was part of her workflow, to do contact prints as well. This is very creepy.
Crazy. It looks like a chicken foot.
It does look like it, but
is that a plant?
Weird. Yeah, I think it's a plant.
We can read. Flor de manita.
Flor de manita. Manita means little hand.
Devin is saying, I really like the straight-on filled frame portraits. The toning of the prints is also interesting because it seems none of them are just black and white. So I'm wondering what she used to do them.
Yeah.
Staining or toning.
Some sort of toner, yeah.
It's really cool. I agree. I usually I don't always like the toning, but I do enjoy. I like the straight up black and white. But I like the warmer tone more than I like the cooler. Like if it's blue, I generally dislike it. And by the way, I think everybody is saying the tones better than I am. I should be looking on this screen, but it's too small. This screen is way messed up. The photos are almost red here.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I see it in this one, which I don't think is also...
I just looked here, and it's way nicer on this one than this one. Most people are going to have better screens than the one that I'm looking at, so that's good. This one is so cool. Oops.
Oopsie.
This one is super cool. Reminds me of somebody else's work that we looked at before. Yeah, it was a Korean...
This is Sign, this one.
Korean photographer we talked about.
The Ben View or something like that. Ben something.
I don't know, but they did a lot of photos in Korea.
Yeah,
black and white stuff. And it was a lot of seascapes and landscapes.
Forest as well.
Forests.
Yeah.
This one is kind of reminding me of that somehow. It's more busy than that other work. But yeah, I definitely, as Devin was saying, I love the filled frame, especially with these like cool compositions that are kind of like scattered, and the weight is falling in different parts of the frame. Yeah,
there is also like those ones that you were showing. They do feel also even a little bit surrealist to me
like this one, for example.
And also like maybe the still lifes, they have a surrealist tone to them as
Definitely.
well, right?
Which one were you thinking?
The one that I was thinking still the one about the hand, because it kind of stuck in my brain. This one's so cool.
It's so cool. Like she fills the frame even when she doesn't fill the frame.
Right.
She really knows how to put things
balanced
inside the frame, and to make it balanced and to make you kind of wander around in the frame, in the picture.
Mm-hmm.
Like this one, for example, I showed this one before, but it's just so cool.
Yeah.
Like she forces you to explore.
And to feel the relative sizes of things as
Yeah.
well because of how it's framed, I feel like.
Even with all this like kind of negative space in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
you still are exploring and going around back and forth, and then you go back and you look at it from a distance. And I like that this one is not toned, for instance.
Yeah, I mean it kind of it works. It's
Especially because the bigger body is like black.
the whole more like a lot of weight in the photo, right?
Yeah. Took a lot of photos of Edward.
Of course, she was smitten by him, apparently.
I kind of want to see more photos of her by Edward Weston.
Yeah, so I only put a couple, but we can search for
Did
some.
you? I didn't check.
Yeah, there are 2 links.
Oh, that's the second link. I don't know which one I clicked.
I think you clicked the second.
I clicked the second one first.
Yeah, this one.
This one.
Is by Edward Weston as well. So she ended up being deported from Mexico because she was involved in some crime thing.
Shady business.
Yeah, like one of her partners was murdered, and then apparently it was with a gun that was given to her by another person that was with her before and left for Moscow, for Russia, communist related things. So she was kind of like sent away from Mexico, and she ended up in Russia as well. And in Russia at that time, there was not a lot of space for art, let's just say it. It was very politicized. It was there was not really, there was a lot of restrictions for artists as well by the government. So she kind of started working for Red Aid and stopped doing basically work, which would have been really interesting to see her work. This one is just the amount of like, this is a symbol. This could be just like a icon of Mexico in a sense, right? Like in the
it's the it's the this feels like the Mexican version of Alexander Rodchenko.
Right, yeah, a little bit. That's true. So it would have been really cool to see what she would have taken in Russia, to be honest, at that time. But she worked mostly with, helping people out and a little bit more on the political side. And then she ended up in Spain by some reason during the Civil War, which we talked a couple of episodes ago.
Mm-hmm.
And after the fascism won in Spain, she kind of had to flee away again and tried to go back to the US with fake papers. It wasn't really allowed to get in, so she had to go by ship all the way from the US to Mexico again, and then
Sheep?
By ship.
Like in the sea?
Yeah.
I thought you said by sheep.
No,
She rode a fluffy sheep all the way back.
And she had to, for many years, live under a she made her own alter ego. It was a Spanish woman. Because she looks very Spanish to me,
she
actually.
Does look that to me, yeah.
So she lived as a Spanish woman that was seeking refugee after the Spanish War in Mexico, and she couldn't really take her own identity until quite later. So it was a tumultuous life, I would say. And then she was killed on a cab in very weird circumstances. Even though it was said that she died of a heart attack, she was 40-something, and it was never really resolved what happened to her, but apparently it might have been a hit work. So that's how her life ended, and no more photographs. But I'm very happy that she got to explore her artistic side for some time while she was in Mexico, of all places. And I think she has a very unique vision, and it's, of course, it should be a source of inspiration for photographers nowadays as well.
For sure. I really looking at her photos kind of made me want to go out and take photos today earlier. I almost left you here doing the podcast by yourself. I went for a photo walk.
Chris is saying that toning was a great part of black and white photography process once upon a time for many photographers. So I guess she probably also learned it from Edward. We're calling him here in first name basis, because...
No, we gotta do an episode on Edward eventually.
Oh, for sure. That one I really like it. The one
typewriter?
of the typewriter one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think at this point now the photos are repeating.
I also, the MoMA one, the flowers is earlier work, like these are still lives that she did. But it's just, it wasn't a long journey, but very interesting and very special, I think, especially for Mexican art history as well. And I think she should be put on the photography books, on the history photography books, which I don't think I saw her in my book, at least. It's not so extensive though, but I actually don't know how I ended up finding her name. I don't think it was through my course, and I don't think it was a book, so it just happened that I saw a photo somewhere.
Reading on Edward's stuff.
Maybe. I actually have no idea how it ended up in my list.
Well, lucky coincidence, isn't it?
Right?
Yeah, so some of her work did remind me of that Dutch photographer that I keep forgetting her name. She's a current. Yeah, she's actually working alive nowadays. You know the one that I'm talking about?
I don't think I know her name.
I keep telling you she's my favorite current photographer.
I know her photos, and I have her photos in my mind, but I don't know the...
Let me see if I saved any because I keep forgetting.
Maybe.
I don't think I saved any here. Did I save
She
any
shows
here?
up all the time.
I think her name is Sarah. Yeah, Sarah.
Sarah, yeah.
Sarah Van something. Van Rijs.
CM says it was a great part, I guess, for the toning. I selenium toned my salt prints last weekend. Oh, that's cool. You're doing salt prints. That's nice.
If you don't know or follow Sarah Van Rijs, check it out. 62,000. I think she deserves more.
Definitely.
Yeah, I love her photos. And some of the stuff we were looking at
she really feels the frame also.
Right?
She does feel the frame quite a lot.
Yeah.
And also uses, like, for example, that one in the middle there.
This one?
Yeah, that one. You know, doesn't it remind you of the typewriter one a little bit? How, you know?
Yeah, as soon as I saw Tina's photos,
Mm-hmm.
I immediately thought of Sarah, like instantly, because I don't know. It's just like you see how she fills the frame and then she keeps it balanced in a way.
Yeah.
And like, you know, these things right at the edges.
Yeah, it's like things creeping in her photos. That's the feeling I have. It's like, sometimes I feel like her photos are more about what's happening outside the photo than in the photo. It's a very weird phenomenon. It's like, it's like really she's giving you a piece of a bigger puzzle, and it's up to you to kind of have the idea what's happening outside. In many of her photos, not in all of them, obviously.
Mm.
But she has a very, very unique and special style in her photography. It would be really good to talk to her.
To Sarah?
Yeah.
Yeah. I really want to as well. I told you before that she's on the bucket list for the show.
What is the surname?
Van Rijs. I'll send you the profile after. How about we finish up for today? What do you think?
Because I actually have to go make the presentation. the slides. I have the presentation here in my brain. I know what I want to say. I just need to make the slides. And I'm going to try to make them, you know, like very beautiful to look at. Like just a couple of photos in each slide and 1-2 words max. And then just like look at them or something.
Yeah.
Something like this. And with nice color palette. That's what I'm seeing. that's how I decide now to do my presentations.
It's your vision board.
It's like, it's more like a vision thing. And then, you know, just supporting what I will say rather than having all the information in the slides. I don't like that anymore. And I used to do a lot of slides like that when I was starting. I was trying never to have a lot of text because I never enjoy looking those kind of presentations. So it's like, why would I do something I wouldn't even look at, right? That's like...
I can either listen to you or read what you write.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But no, like, I think, let me see. I have made 3 slides. I made the first one.
Nobody can see what.
No, I'm showing you so you can like...
We can look up. These are cool. Yeah, I approve.
He approves.
Yes.
Minimalist. That's my jam nowadays, even for making presentations.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense. It's kind of like, especially if the room is big, and if you have a big screen.
I'm gonna have two screens, two behind me.
Yeah, so like you're setting the mood with the slides rather than
Exactly. This is what I'm
you're
thinking.
changing
It's like
the lighting, you're changing the color of the room.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
I feel like it's like a slideshow, like a visual show of sorts.
Mhm.
Like I want the people there. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about something. I want you to learn something from this, but I want you to visually have an experience while you are sitting there listening to someone talking. Those are the ones I enjoy the most.
Mhm.
And I also think like doing presentations, scientific presentations or communication, what I do for work every day, and also now looking at more photographers. I think I am developing more of a visual style as well.
Mhm.
Like I'm more clear about how I want things to look when I'm doing these communication projects as well, and I pay a lot of attention to that. I think it's important, more than some people think, actually.
No, I definitely agree. Yeah, and it's doing it that way is fun. Is a fun part of the work.
And I also think because like for me,
Keeping it minimal, I mean.
yeah, and I also think like keeping it minimal, I don't know, like I feel like it can make you maybe have a more emotional connection to the thing, because you only have to really focus on one thing at a time. It's not busy, it's just like this thing, and now we talk about this topic and you're looking at this other thing, and so it's I think it allows for more connection with the audience as well in that way, and that's having just one big image.
True.
So that's what I'm up to, and that's why we also have to kind of cut it shorter today.
Yes.
But it was very nice to look at Tina's work.
Mhm.
I hope you guys got inspired and liked it, and maybe even go back to the links or share with some other people as well. I guess Devan cannot put it in the Instagram because I think he means like current photographers, I think he was saying. So maybe Tina.
Well, we talked about Sarah if she's not already in the list. I don't know how the list is accumulated. Maybe,
yeah, I don't know either.
I mean, check his Instagram for more information. I guess
Yeah.
he will have it there. I think I came across it the other day, but like a week ago or something. And I wanted to tell you, maybe I thought you would see it. I think he posted something in the story.
Maybe I've been a bit out of social
me
media
too.
and stuff like that because I've been so busy with the course.
I usually share my favorite photographer of the week or favorite photo
Yeah.
of the week, but I haven't been using Instagram, so I don't know. Yeah, but we'll go check it out. So yeah, I think that's it for today.
Yes, guys.
I hope you enjoyed me decaffeinated. If you do, I don't know, let me know or hit the like.
Let's make a poll. Caffeinated? No caffeinated.
Yeah, because I think it's good because, well, I didn't want to drink because I wanted to go to bed early. That's the thing. I wanted to be able to sleep so I can wake up. And usually when we do these, because we do them like now we're done at 8,
Yeah.
8:30, it's almost, we usually go even longer to 9. I can't go to bed and then it messes up the rest of my week. I keep sliding into the night. So yeah, I don't want to do that this week. But yeah, it would be nice if I don't have to. I mean, I think I was pretty alright today.
Yeah, it was a different kind of energy, I would say, and maybe different flow of thoughts. I don't know how caffeine affects you as well in that regard, but yeah, it's
Ramps
nice
up the
to have.
insanity.
It's nice to have a different kind of use as well.
Right. So, thank you everybody for watching or listening. See you next week.
Yeah, bye guys.
Bye. Oh yeah.
It's okay.
Not next week. The next week is probably not.
Probably
gonna be a
not.
show. The week after we'll be back. Peace.
Thank you.